today's episode, we will speak to Kenneth da Nóbrega, Ambassador of the Federal Republic of Brazil. Let's begin by talking about biofuels. So, G20 last year, it promoted the use of biofuels in the member countries. Brazil happens to be one of the pioneer countries where vaccine vehicles, biofuels are in much play, have developed a lot of biofuels as well. How do you see the alliance helping other countries, especially India, in use of biofuels like biofuels?
Good morning. Well, I think the GBA, the Global Biofuels Alliance, was a major achievement of the G20 Indian presidency, among other fantastic results. I think that it provides a platform for promoting ethanol as a world commodity, and also will help other global south countries to include ethanol in their energy matrix, because many global south countries who have tropical climate can take advantage of ethanol, not only in terms of reducing their emissions, but also developing a domestic industry of ethanol production, and also fostering agriculture, and so improving also income in the agricultural sector in these countries. So I think it's an initiative that has to be carried out.
What kind of policy measures will help India in adopting the same biofuels, biodiesel?
Well, India has already set a very ambitious goal to reach 20% of ethanol mix within a few years. I think that by itself will attract and will foster the productive sector to produce motors that can take ethanol in other proportions. So that brings me to the biofuel flex fuel motor, which has been developed in Brazil in the early 2000s. And this is we have been maintaining now, I think, a 3 or 4 year long dialogue with India, B2B, G2G, G2B, in all those formats, in order to share with India this successful experience and possibly establish partnerships with Indian industry. I'm talking about business here.
What are the key takeaways through which we can learn from your journey? You have been quite a dominant player in using biofuels in your own country. What are the key takeaways which can be taken from your journey, can be used in other countries?
Well, I think that you can divide into two parts. First, there is the regulatory framework, because in order to foster, to stimulate an industry, be it an ethanol industry or an automotive industry that runs on ethanol, you have to put in place a legal framework, and you have also to provide for incentives for this industry to develop. I think this is the first thing. The other is technological cooperation. Share our learning curve, technological learning curve that led us to this success story. In the case of India, for example, there was throughout this dialogue I have just mentioned, for example, our flex fuel motor was tested in many regions of India. For example, in the near the Himalaya, because Brazil does not have this kind of altitude in its territory. So the question, for example, was, can a flex fuel motor running on ethanol 100%, for example, perform well in those high altitudes? The answer was eventually yes. But just an example how this dialogue was carried out in a very detailed way, really.
All right, Ambassador, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you.